You've got a third place game to play. So.
I do have a third place game to play. Thanks.
No problem. Cubs still with the disc,
So now
working
it's
it
just a
up.
man on, but
Here's a big throw. Oh, tough break as it goes right through the hands. I'm not sure if that was even the intended target, but it was definitely a chance. Looking long. Calypso comes down with it at the end zone line. Quick break throw into the end zone for the point. 5-2 Calypso. So, Marion, if you're on the sideline there, what are your thoughts as if you had to give some advice to the defensive players for Quebec on that?
that was the break.
Yep.
So, containing that mark for sure. But also, Calypso's coming in hard at the disc. For viewers out there, take a look at how Dan Fortin catches the disc. She always, jumps hard at it. You can almost say her hands bite into the disc, and so it's taking up that space. It's making sure that the defender doesn't have a clear play on it, and it's just hard running. Because actually, in all honesty, I don't know that the Cube players are that close to the Calypso players.
Yeah.
But absolutely, it's on those throws coming out on the break side. So.
It's funny that Danielle's catch and throw was, she maybe threw it after she caught it about 5 yards, but it was pivotal because she, like you said, she created space for herself, caught it, and was able to throw that nice break pass, and
Absolutely.
then it led to 3 or 4 quick passes. So.
Let's go defense. Let's go defense. Let's go defense.
Thank you.
Great pull from Montreal.
This high pull that gives them time to get down there and no first pass. Look at that.
Yeah. They get the disc into the middle.
So they've got a more of a poachy. There you go.
Yeah.
So they're just taking up that space in front and the middle.
Another pass.
But it is still a man.
Yeah.
Just a poachy one.
A great break throw by, and a drop, and it's going back.
But like you can see, though, Cube strategy again also on the break side.
Yeah.
Clearing up that space where the defender's not.
Yeah. And it's probably a great strategy, too, because we have seen some junk in the four-side lane from Calypso. So if they can get the break, they're going to have some open people. Patient from Calypso. They get it back into the middle of the field. Quick swing. Looks like there's a foul call. Disc is checked in. Looking for the dump, swing into the middle. And it's caught in the end zone. Another point for Calypso. Okay.
So the women's division this year has 17 teams.
Yes.
With 3 junior teams, junior women's team, which is new.
Yes.
I think you mentioned it that the junior program is switching over to men's and women's rather than just the co-ed system, which is, I think, actually going to be quite good for the women's program in general. To get women playing together early on and sort of feeding into a greater system. Stella this year, the Ottawa teams have gone to a system as well. You've got Stella A, Stella B. So you've got a clear progression coming in with the juniors and then Stella BA to give something to work towards for the junior girls that are looking to get in there and improve on their game.
It's been a bit of a strong weekend for the Ottawa Junior Women's Program. I was noticing in the the playoff tree that they had made it into the middle 4 bracket ahead of the Toronto Overdrive and the other junior women's team that was into the tournament. So I've also been able to see both Isabel and Camille Bedard and Julia Manconi play over the last year, and I think that they, through the coaching of Hallie German and Evan Waterman, they've really improved quite a bit, just in terms of being able to get a lot of reps handling. So hopefully they'll have a great experience at Nationals, and I think it's great that they got the chance to play against teams like Stella this weekend. I think it'll be a good prep, especially given how tough the Vancouver teams have been in the past couple of years. Well,
it's a great opportunity to play against tougher teams. It's hard. It's rough when when it's not going your way, but it's definitely good to see different things and to get pushed further. Especially if on your offensive game to have to pull out the bigger player. The more solid throws, more exact throws, the harder cuts you've got to run. But there's actually a couple, start talking about the junior team, the Ottawa junior team. There's a couple girls, and forgive me if I've forgotten one, but Sarah and Courtney, who were on the Junior Worlds team.
Correct.
Actually, and they'll be traveling to Worlds just in a few weeks, I think.
That's right. Sarah Lawler and Courtney Craig.
That's right.
Yeah. So timeout is had, and now Cub moves down the field. The disc into the middle. Oh, at the turnover. Quick pickup. Fortin with a nice grab by the Calypso receiver. They continue to move it up. That pass bounces off a Calypso player and into the arms of another Calypso player in the end zone.
Well, and that's possible to pick up on those throws if you've got solid cutters that are ready and open and always moving.
Yeah.
If you're standing around and waiting for your cut, you're waiting for your turn, then you're not able to react as fast. But Kate Worry was already running out to the end zone to set up another cut, and so she was in a great spot to be able to pick up on that tip.
Yeah. And that's, you can have the breaks go for you when you're being aggressive and being, kind of paying attention out there. Sometimes you see people that are going through the motions, they're running and they know they're not the primary cut, so they're not really, paying attention. And if there's a loose disc that comes out there, they're not ready for it. But that was clearly a sign of every receiver out there at Calypso is always looking for a chance to catch the disc, and they're not shy about going after it.
Well, and that makes the difference between a good player and an excellent player, or even just any serious player, I'd say, playing Ultimate is they want the disc, at any given point in time. And sure, it's not always crowding the Frisbee and going to it, but the point is you're always setting yourself up to be open to have the Frisbee. And that's it's that drive, it's that desire that'll make the difference.
So a pull from Calypso. Up with the disc. Continuing to move it around. It's in the middle of the field. Wide open underneath, and another turnover. And now Calypso moves down the field. Oh, great defensive play. A chance for Quebec City to get back into this game. Good movement.
That's nice bail coverage.
Oh. Calypso thrower wants that one back. But that was it was a great defensive play. It was a great movement down the field.
It was great defensive bail coverage. That will actually, on your resets, your bails, that will make and break a team, whether you can complete them, and if you're able to, as a team, defensively keep tight on those bails, then that's where your reset is, right? That's where your quarterbacks are, and so if you take them out, then it's crucial for the game.
Nice grab by Kub in the end zone. And they get back on the board. And I believe the score is 6-3. 7-3.
That was a back to basics play. Nice and easy. Dump, swing, break for the point.
One of the things I'm really impressed with the Calypso team right at this point is the aggressiveness on offense, the comfort working with one another, give and goes. And despite the fact that they've had some pickups, one of the problems with having pickups is sometimes it's hard to understand what these new teammates want to do out there in the field. And on some of these give and goes, I'm just really impressed with the disc skills and the fact that they've, over the course of the weekend have kind of figured out how to play with one another. What's your take on that?
Well, I think when we've got players that are already used to, I think the Calypso girls and the pickups are all used to a quicker paced game, and so I think you're looking for that trust that needs to be built and figured out over the course of playing together. But if you've already got the same style of play, it comes a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
You're already looking to throw, either an up the bail cut or bail or moving the disc quickly as soon as you pick it up, and so it's not as much of an adjustment.
So maybe some sort of pick call. It's been resolved, and we're about to have a disc check in.
Nice break.
Wow. Seems to be a discussion whether or not there was a foul or maybe a drop, but it's been cleared up. Calypso retains possession. Nice break throw, but it's D'd by Quebec City. And here's a big throw, a nice throw, and it's caught just a couple of feet outside the end zone. Gets it back into the middle. Coop trying to connect, dump it back, pick called. Here's the break, nice throw, continuation, it's cut off by good defense, good mark. Oh, here's another break, still not in, right on the line, looking break, good defense by Montreal.
Cube is awfully tight. They're trying to pull it back a little bit at the back, but there's still a lot of people really close to the disc, which makes it hard because there's no space to put into.
Point Cube.
Except for that spot. That spot had space.
Yes. A very narrow spot to throw to. Yeah. So you've had almost a full season of playing in something kind of innovative, like a fully integrated program with the same name, 2 teams.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about, for those teams at home that are kind of wondering how they can get their B team more, kind of interacted with their A team? What have you guys done? Do you guys practice together? You play together?
We practice beside each other. I think the fact, A, just even having the same name, we have same jerseys, which makes it, I think, any sort of transition from one to the other a lot easier from one year to the next. It also makes, it builds on the attachment that you have to the system, to the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do practice beside one another. We warm up together, cool down together. We'll often run our warm-up drills together. And so it's an investment into that B system as well, right? Because you're getting them playing up at a higher level for even just those warm-ups, but it's good exposure, good experience.
I think it can't be said enough that kind of, even just wearing the same jersey or having the same name, it really goes a long way to feeling like more of a team. It's also easier if there's players are moved up between teams. It's less of a headache for finding new jerseys or switching.
Yeah, the first tournament we played this year actually went out to Tough, and that was just an integrated, tournament with both players from the A and the B system. And And then since then, had a couple of Stella A players help out with the roster at Jazz Fest, where Stella B was playing. And for sure, so yeah, logistically that makes it a whole lot easier.
Kub moving the disc down. Oh, another D by Calypso. There's the
Solid D
long
by
hook.
Cadets. Big D and then the strike.
Timeout call. Very wise move. The D, the deep strike and catch, and then a very smart timeout call. So it's on the line. The score is 7-4 in favor of Calypso. And they're going to get a chance to get some water and talk it out. So earlier in the day, I said it was sunny, but not too sunny or too hot. And just after being out here for a little bit, I have to say that if you've been playing, I'm amazed that you're able to stand this whole time. So it's thank God for water at the fields, because
Absolutely.
hydration would be key.
Certainly is.
So your semifinal is against PPF?
PPF, yeah.
Oh, an excellent inter-Ontario battle.
Absolutely. PPF, who we've seen a couple times this year, including last week, actually, at regionals. We were down in Waterloo with Stella A, B, Lily, PPF, and Lotus. And so we met up with them a couple times then, a couple times earlier this year as well. It's certainly a fun team to play against. They work off a long game as well.
The discus checked in, looking for an open player. Strong defense by Quebec City, preventing the easy pass in the end zone. There's a pass, back to the middle. Give and go, and the score.
There's a Caroline Cadot play there, or point actually. She's got the D, the strike,
the timeout
give
call.
And go, the timeout call. Player from Team Canada.
Yeah. So it's a World Year, meaning some of the stronger players from throughout Canada have had Team Canada commitments. Now the Worlds are over. And my question to you would be: have you heard anything in terms of free agent movement from players in Ottawa that were playing on Team Canada? Are they going to pick up with Stella 4 Nationals? Is there players from Montreal that are going to be joining Storm?
It depends on the team. I think some of the teams already had arrangements, I guess, pre-Worlds. I know Darcy is playing with PPF. Darcy was on Team Canada in Capitals, but I think that I mean there's no Capitals this year or this summer, anyways. I think they might be putting in a team for the fall series, which they've played in for several years. As for nationals, I think there'll be the odd player here and there. Of course, going to Japan and back is a big time and financial commitment. So it's not everyone that can double up on. Yeah, especially with nationals being out in Victoria, it's might have been a different story if it was in Ottawa. But I mean, maybe out west, because they're of course had a couple of pickups for TC on from Vancouver.
Yeah,
that's a different story. There might be some.
I couldn't agree more. Like Victoria seems like an excellent place to host nationals, and then the real and short of it is, you have 20 to 25 players on your roster. You'd like at least 20 of them to go to nationals with you for a 3-day tournament. But are you going to have 20 players based on the demographics of who plays Club Ultimate? Are all of them going to be able to afford a ride from Ottawa to Victoria or from Sherbrooke to Victoria? Yeah. So I think that's some planning that has to go in ahead of time. So hopefully there'll be a strong contingent from Eastern Canada.
Well, Cuba's heading out, so they're getting. I mean, this is a great tournament for them to gear up for nationals. Yeah. Storm won't be going, from what I understand. Again, that kind of it's a long way to go, I think, and just too bad.
Yeah. And Stella will be going?
Stella will be going. Stella, PPF, Lotus.
So
Teams
Stella's
from Ontario.
last championship was in 2008, CUC championship, 2008, 2009. Do you think that this might be the year for Stella?
Hope so, for sure. It's definitely what we're working towards. Been working on, different strategies and different offenses and defenses. We've moved over, I think, as with a lot of other teams, from the O-line, D-line sort of split to a more of a 2 pods that just go on and play, either 1 or 2 points and work through O and D, which is good. I think that it helps players become sort of more solid, more rounded.
Right. Because you play offense and defense on most points anyways.
Well,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, you're always gonna have certain key players that will play.
Yeah.
The starting D point or O point or.
Yeah.
That's certainly. We've got Paula Salaban on Stella, and whenever the line is called, we don't really know if it's going to be an O point or a D point if that hasn't been mentioned, but she always knows if it's if she's called on, she's going to play D point.
Okay.
On the first point of the game, solid D player on Stella.
I had the chance to watch Paula win a national championship with the Queen's University team this fall.
Nice.
It was extremely rainy conditions, extremely cold, and she just had a fantastic performance in the championship game. You being a handler, myself having experience handling, it's always you always feel for those people that have to play in a final when the wind is very, very challenging.
Absolutely.
She was playing against the wind for virtually most of the game, and she just did a tremendous job. So good for her, and congratulations on her championship, and we hope she does well at nationals. So we're about to start the second half. It's been a very, although the score is not as close as we might hope as commentators, it's been very well played first half. There's definitely skill on both sides.
Absolutely.
What do you think Quebec City will try and do to kind of get a couple of quick points at the start of this half?
Well, for sure they're on offense, so it's going to be a lot of keeping possession and making the smart throws. They've had a few miscues, either little drops. I can tell now there's sort of like a poachy zone. Oh, and now they've transitioned to man. Oh.
I'll have to give Calypso a lot of credit. Even from us watching from a good vantage point, it's sometimes hard to find out what they're doing on offense and defense, and they're just creating confusion for their opponents.
Definitely some junky defense that's hard to work through.
Yeah. When
you've got poaches coming in and you don't know where they're coming in from,
it's
not as easy to defend. But now I feel everyone's sort of tightened up on man as they get closer to the end zone.
Great break throw from the left-handed Quebec City player. Another break pass. They're moving it down the line. It's right on the end zone line. Looking to punch it in, put up over the top, jump ball.
Interesting
Not
choice,
caught.
The high release forehand.
I think her teammates may have been hoping for her to dump it in the middle, but player in question has had a very strong first half. Other than a couple of drops, she's been very active in being able. Sometimes half the battle for cutters or for handlers is just being able to get open in these finals because the defense is usually quite tough. There's no easy marks.
Of course.
Tushar, have we had any Twitter comments or anything?
People asked about Unite.
Okay. So our first fan question of the day, Miriam. And so it's a question about Unite, the mixed team. Now, I believe that this is a combination of No Clue, which competed last year at Nationals, and RIP, a former very, very strong co-ed team. We could check with some of our Montreal friends that have been cheering loudly for Calypso today. Maybe we'll get a more definitive answer, but it seems to be a team very similar to the one that finished in the top 4 at Nationals last year. And they were called No Clue last year, and now they're called Unite, possibly a combination team.
Yeah.
And they've been quite strong. If I can check my notes here on the mixed side, I believe that they went into the quarterfinals as the #1 seed coming out of pool play.
Right, because this tournament has also for the first year combined co-ed and women's, or not women's, but women's and opens categories, divisions. Used to be 2 tournaments, one being held, in July, and one, the co-ed one, later in the summer. So it's nice to see all the fields taken up.
Yeah. One of the reasons why we made that change, the format change, after spending 4 years as tournament director, the suggestion was it was a great chance to have sort of a mini nationals as a prep. Here's a big long throw for Calypso in the end zone. Oh, what an excellent effort. Calypso player tried to
toe
the line and catch. But like you said, it's great whenever you have like a mini nationals field where every field is full. We've got 53 teams this year, which obviously caused some sort of logistical challenges. But it seems like everybody's found a place to park. Everybody has food. Everybody has field food. There's lots of vendors here. Up the line. It's kept alive. Timeout call by Calypso. A very, very interesting start to the second half. It seems as though both defenses are playing very hard, making every possession hard to score on for both teams. Okay, as an offensive, as a handler, Miriam, you're in the huddle right now with the Montreal team. What is the strategy that they're going to do? They've got it on the line. Stall count is at about 0-1. What do you do? Go.
What do they do, or what do I do? I know definite strategy. What I like to see as a handler is for the cutters to be spread deep and to have that space for a handler up the line cut.
Yeah.
They're really well situated for that. Of course, Cube might be ready and expecting it, just because it is a tricky go-to play. They might be poaching in the lanes a little bit, so it's important for the Calypso players to be active and to clear that space. Often teams might want to recenter it if it's that close to the sideline rather than try to pump it in the side, but it doesn't look. Looks like they're doing exactly what I would love to see them do.
Up the line cut with
lined up. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of Dan's strengths.
Yeah.
Of course, they're expecting it now, and you can see the poach in the lane.
So we should probably expect Dan to go up the line and then go into the backfield.
They have another handler.
Oh, great defensive play by Quebec City.
But they might have been able to do, and I think that it is a little bit what they were trying to, is if Dan went up the line and they had a third handler, maybe the top of the stack, and I think that's what I saw a little bit, coming back for just a straight backfield pass.
Yeah.
And that would allow them to clear up all of that break side of the end zone.
And there's going to be an injury sub for Quebec. There was an up-the-line bail. There was some contact, so she's going to take a break with a substitution. Looking in the lane. Very strong defense in the forced lane, so they used the dump wisely. Good break, nice grab.
Look at how close together Cube is, the way they're really just lined up in the middle and not. But they have been playing, or they have played a vertical, which seems to be coming back a little bit. I mean, I remember I remember when I started playing. That's what we were running was verticals before the switch over to horizontal. It actually took a few years break in between, and as horizontal was coming back, and coming back last year, and now that's mostly all we're playing. But some teams will.
Oh, D play by Quebec City.
Absolutely. Some teams will come back to the vertical and either try to run a bail off the front, or run a strike off the front of the stack, and so it's the
great grab by Quebec. Oh, another D play, and there's a collision. For those online looking to know a little bit more about Miriam, Miriam started very, very early in Ultimate. So when she talks about the ancient past, she was probably 16 at the time. And I think that you would really like the vertical stack because it allows you the ability to throw the break pass, the low forehand break, and it's very, very effective as long as the mark isn't able to take it away. And I'm not sure if that's going to be the case with Calypso. They seem to be playing very strong mark defense. Big huck. Jump ball, Quebec City with the D once again.
Certainly, though, if starting out in vertical has taught me anything as a handler in that, because going to the break side was a big part of that strategy, and so the break swing was a go-to look, and which is something that we're trying to bring back into the horizontal to reverse that field, so you're not always looking to the open side.
There's a long pass, but it's not completed over the head. A good throw, but the receiver was running directly along the sideline, and that's a very, very tough pass to catch when you're running on the sideline, to see it over your head and make the adjustment.
So if there's one thing that's...
Big huck, Daniel 410, and it's caught.
Nice reverse.
Great break pass for the score, and the first pass. The first point since the half. That was a long point.
That was a long point. That's the first point after half.
I have to say, for a final, it's been a very spirited final. There has we have observers, but they haven't really been called for very many plays thus far. It's been a very good wide open game, and there's been little to no calls to have to negotiate on. That's great.
I think that comes a little bit from having two teams that are a little aggressive or taking that space. When you're matched up against a player that does a little shoving maybe, or just taking up that space, it gives you free range to do it on your own, and you respect that. If you'll take it from me, then I'll take it from you, and it's just a better person to it.
Yeah. And as a player yourself, how would you characterize your style?
I'm definitely, I think, a little. I want the frisbee all the time as a handler. I feel like that's sort of a prerequisite. I will go to the disc aggressively, and quicker movements. As a handler, I've practiced a bit more those shortcuts. Having played with Dan and having learned from same players as she has, at the same time. Marie was a big influence, and so those quick plays, looking to get the disc off right away.
And willing to be aggressive up the line.
Be aggressive up the line, of course, and similarly, being aggressive on the defense. There's nothing I enjoy more than playing defense on a bail.
So right now on this point we've had a very quick turnover from Q, and then we've had some very quick passes by Calypso. We now find the disc close to the sideline on the right hand side. It's just been checked back in, looking to get it off the off the line, and it's
That's
been deep.
really crowded too. Calypso normally has a really nice long wide game.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of people in a tight spot.
Big throw. Oh, great play.
Catch it!
Some of the Montreal fans wanted a catch there, but the most important thing is the D was made.
The catch is
Yeah, exactly.
the catch is always a good call. The second you just tip it, there's nothing more frustrating than getting a hand on it and having another player pick it up
On the other team.
on the other team. Yeah, and then your D is a little bit wasted.
Yeah.
Kaylee Sparks on Stella is really good for that. That was a great
Now,
layout.
I read on Twitter that Kaylee Sparks had had a Callahan yesterday, and you guys
She
had
did have a
Callahans in
Callahan.
your first 2 games?
Yep, we had Callahan in both our first games. Catherine Porn for the second one, but I have to say Kaylee's Callahan was impressive. It was a layout D catch
Nice.
into the end zone.
I
You
only
don't
hope the paparazzi and the team photographer got a shot of that.
I would hope. It would be disappointing if not.
Nice break throw on the flick. Calypso continuing to move it down the line. It's on the sideline. And, oh, nice effort, but they're not able to come up with it. So, you know, in this game, one of the things that's really impressed me is clearly the girls on both sides have some great disc skills. But the defense, you know, even with the heat and all the games that they played this weekend, they're managing to, even when there's a break, to, you know, play hard defense and cut off that next pass. Keeping it out of the end zone.
That's one of the most important things to do when it's been broken once is, you know, rather than just tightening up on your mark right away.
Hand block.
Solid hand block. You know, is swooping across so that
Oh, wow.
first pass doesn't have the chance to come out.
Another great grab. There's been a series of great grabs on this play after the hand block. Another break throw. Looks like there was a foul call. Wow. Trying to go in the force lane, right on the goal line, right against the sideline.
Exactly what I was talking about earlier in terms of going in hard for the disc. She had defender right on her back. It's just a matter of getting in there first and biting at it.
Mm-hmm. There seems to be some sort of dispute on the call. I'm not sure. It seems to be between the thrower and the mark. Linda Kodo, very strong, experienced observer, is at many of the major tournaments, including Canadian Nationals. Walking past the booth is the great Pete Knowles.
Nice quick give and go. Oh, call.
Gerhardt. Ooh, looks like there was some significant foulage on that throw. But as a thrower, you'll take that. You would prefer to be able to have an unobstructed huck throw, but Oh, great defensive play by Montreal, and they now move the disc down the field. Every single throw has been contested. Another D play by Quebec City.
It's looking like another long point.
They are playing so hard in the second half, but time, I would think, is starting to get a little short for them right now. Timeout called.
And now, do we know who is in the Opens final?
Actually, Brent Gerhardt of Phoenix, could you update us? Are you guys in the final for the men's? Yes, you're in the finals. How was it a universe point against Grand Trunk? Yes. So we have confirmation. Phoenix will be in the final after winning on Universe against Grand Trunk, who got to the semis by winning on Universe against local Ottawa Masters team Glum. On the other side of the bracket, we have Montreal's the men from their mixed team Odyssey, Ulysses, and they're actually sitting right here. So I've got nothing but great things to say about these guys. What was the score of your match against Q? 14-12. Okay.
And I would say so. Calypso and Ulysse combined in their co-ed team. We're actually in the finals last year for the game to go to Worlds.
Oh, that's right.
In
at the Nationals last year in Ottawa. That's right.
Yep.
Which was an amazing performance by the Cap. All three finals were actually quite interesting. The mixed final was interrupted by some thunder and lightning, which was.
That's right. The Capitals
had a dominant. They had a dominant performance in that game.
They did. It was almost not shocking, because of course you don't. Happy to expect that. Capitals is a solid team, but it was a solid game. You know, not nearly as close as one might have thought.
Oh, and another great catch by Cube. Continuing to move it into the middle, looking for a break pass. And here's the throw into the end zone for the point.
Great execution on Cube's part. It's just good movement, solid, sharp cuts.
Yeah. That has been the most impressive part of the game, has been their ability to move it from sideline to sideline and keep the Calypso ladies running hard and staying honest on the force side. So the sun continues to beat down. We've got both teams have traded points in this second half. We've been through about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. We've only had 2 points scored, so time is kind of running out for Quebec City. Hopefully they will be able to put a final push on here as the time cap comes close to us. And hopefully we'll be able to see the end of this game before Miriam has to leave us and go to her third place game.
Just cleaning up right now.
Yes. So are you a journalism major? Is this something you're interested in? You're quite good with doing the color commentary.
Thank you. No, this is my first time doing color commentary. I am not in journalism or any media studies or profession by any means, but I do work a lot talking with youth, running workshops and coordinating events, so, you know, talking to crowds, and I do love talking.
Well, we're
it's
glad.
A nice flood we've got seeing here.
Yeah.
Just clearing up the space for that one cutter.
Nice pass to the outside. Calypso.
Nice focus.
Some great disc movement. Looking break, side flick.
Exciting.
Here's the catch. The throw was a little lofty. It stayed up there for a long time, but it was thrown to good space. And It was thrown on the break side, and they were able to come down with it and have the quick score. And now we have a score of 10-5, I believe. The vantage point is actually quite good for Miriam and I here today. We don't have, as with Rogers, we don't have the advantage of having 7 camera angles and replays. But we're doing the best we can, and we invite you guys to send any of your questions through Tushar and the IM Ultimate website, and we'll try to, if there's something you'd like us to discuss or something you'd like us to answer, we'll try and be as quick in responding to that as possible. But we hope you're enjoying, and we're glad that you're able to support Tushar's initiative with streaming this online. We thank you for being here.
I have to say that was a bit of my disappointment of losing to Calypso, is not getting the chance to be on TV.
Well, with such awesome jerseys, I'm sure you'll stick around for at least one more year. And we'll get Rogers back next year, and you can be on the finals once again.
Or sorry, yeah, TV, but even just have the game filmed.
Have your family that wouldn't otherwise come out to here
Exactly,
be able to watch from home, from the comforts of
exactly.
home. Yeah.
So now we're back to a zone.
Yep.
Got 4 people up there and on the handlers. Nice pressure.
Great defensive play by Calypso, and they're going to look to move quickly on transition O. Disc is about to be checked in. Good disc movement. They get it back to the dump. Looking to score once again into the middle of the field. Another dump. Patience for Calypso.
There it is.
I've noticed for Calypso that cut from the front of the stack has been there for most of the game, but it's very, very far off to the break side before they make the move. I think.
Well, it's setting up in a spot that's kind of awkward, and you'll see teams running a solid sort of 7 cut, right? And so it's just like a couple steps off to the break side, and then sharp up. So it's not a it's not a long cut. You're not stretching sort of a boulder or a strike deep and then coming under.
Yep.
It's just off the front.
And a point on the break for Calypso. And now we have a score of 11-5 for Calypso.
It's making use of that break side, those cuts, those 7 cuts, and setting up on the break. Not necessarily to always get it on the break side, but to not always be running through the open side. So whether you're cutting to the open side and then making a 7 sharp to the break side, or even just a straight up throw, like if you will have a player off the front that cuts across into the open side far enough that the player has to adjust, it's an easy couple steps over, and that's still an open throw. But now your defender is off on the wrong side of you, which opens up. And
the mark is far enough over to the other side that the thrower has an easy throw unencumbered to throw it.
On the break side.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And so it's making use of those. And I think that's what both of these teams are doing quite well, is making use of all the space you've got on a field.
Phoenix will be playing in the final, is now warming up. Everybody seems to have a very dirty white jersey with the exception of Luke Phelan. My assumption is he hasn't had to lay out. He's been running that fast this weekend.
He's a fast player. So we've got a 4-person cup with just 2 back and 1 deep. But that's enough pressure, and saw right through the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So the tricky part with the 4-person cup is if you push it through a couple times, you know, it's just quick give and goes. You can make it collapse or be close enough then to the cup to be able to push through those holes, because then your upfield cutters are outnumbering the defenders.
Well, the zone has mixed results as Quebec City is able to break through, as Miriam said, and they're able to score. A quick point for Quebec City. They'll try and set up a D-line and get the next play started as soon as possible.
So shout out again to Okio and all the volunteers that are making all this possible. It's looking great up here. It's always nice to be stepping on the UPI fields. They've been here since they were opened in '99.
That's right.
In some 13 years, is my math correct? Yeah.
Putting me on the spot like that.
Putting you. So yeah, some 13 years. It's still looking great. And it's a pleasure to be out here and seeing all these teams warm up, play. It's great place for families too. You got kids running around on the sidelines.
I think we've all played in tournaments where, out of necessity, because of the size of the tournament, we've had to play on satellite fields. And it's playing in one area where everybody is playing is a lot better than having to be able having to go to different satellite fields and not being able to see everybody else participate. So we're very lucky in Ottawa, and we welcome teams that are watching online to put in a bid for next year to come and participate. 53 teams, and we'll see if we can squeeze a couple more in for next year.
Nice, very good.
Maybe a couple more junior women's teams and expand the division.
So you've got a zone coming out here from Cube as well. It's just the standard 3-3-1, but with the mid coming in kind of tight and making sure that those holes don't come out of the cup. You know, once you start playing a four-man cup, it's the 3-man cup feels extra loose. Like, you know, there's a lot more space, but that mid has a lot to play, or the big role to play in terms of cutting out those.
Given the talent of the throwers on the Montreal team, was this something to just kind of throw down at them and kind of maybe get a surprise turn, or were they thinking of using this as a legitimate strategy to try and force a turnover? Because with such great throwers, I mean, if they don't make an early turn based on being surprised by the zone, maybe it's an easy score for them.
Well, I mean, they seem to have.
Wow, excellent catch in the end zone by Calypso.
I think that the different zones will have different impacts. Teams will play, you know, just that surprise factor. When you melt is always the tricky part in terms of trying to figure out how much pressure is still being put on.
Has the wind been any factor in terms of your ability to throw the disc this weekend that you know would lead someone to say, hey, let's try a zone, we're going down this particular direction?
I don't feel like the wind has been that strong. I mean, there'll be little drafts here and there that will sort of surprise and maybe pick up the disc a little bit, but nothing so strong that you think, you know, there's no way that anyone will be able to throw anything beyond just a short pass. Hey, listen, so I don't know if I can do this, but I think my team is warming up now. So I feel like I should be going pretty soon. Maybe I can see one more point and then take off for my third place team.
We don't want to get her in trouble with Jamie and Cheryl. Those girls are sweethearts, but I don't know if they.
Well, they are sweethearts, and that would be tricky if. But I feel like Capo and Sandra and Carly, who are captaining Stella A, are a little bit scary. Sorry.
I clearly said I was scared of you online. Go back and check the tape. I'd actually, while we're waiting for the poll to come here, how do you feel about warming up between games after a bit of a break? Does you find something you need, or you find you just need to be minimalist to keep warm?
Oh no, you absolutely need to warm up. If you've got a bye, it's annoying. I don't like it. It's a big hassle. So for sure, when you've got a few games in a row, that's ideal. But
turnover by Quebec City.
Warming up, absolutely. So that's a little bit of what I would be thinking of too in terms of right now going into this third place game. I would hate to. Nice point.
Nice grab. The score by Kate Weary.
Kate and Dan have played together for years now and know each other quite well, so know where to see each other on the field.
Talent, skill, speed, and experience playing with one another for many years. That's a great ingredient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Miriam, it was great to do the commentary with you, and hopefully next year, if Rogers or if Touchard comes calling, you'll consider.
Perhaps.
Or you might be playing in the final. So.
I would like to think so. Yeah, that'll be my goal first, and then the commentary.
Excellent.
But viewers, continue to enjoy the rest of this finals and the men's final after, and come out to No Borders and see it live next year.
Thank you, Miriam. Good luck.
Thanks.
Greg King has expressed an interest in taking part for the men's final. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, Miriam is off to warm up, and we continue coverage here of Montreal versus Quebec City. Montreal and friends, including some Ottawa pickups like Kate Weary and Daniel Fortin. Calypso has a rather large lead with time winding down. But Cub has been playing a very, very aggressive game, and they've been giving a lot of effort, both defense and offense. Here's a deep huck, and it's deed by Calypso. This gets put back into the middle of the field on a great cut. Big huck. Over the head of the Calypso receiver running long.
Nice shirt, Touchard.
Sure. Disc gets checked in. Cub with the disc. Here's a big throw. Finally, a long huck, and it's caught. Looking for a continuation. Back into the middle. Quebec City working the disc sideline to sideline. Lots of patience up the line. Now looking for it. Oh, possibly a chance to go to hit an open target, but she looked it off, and now she goes up line smartly. And the disc is on the sideline. Timeout called by Blue. Excellent.
All right, so you've probably been watching here and enjoying commentary with Stephen Traynor and Marion, and thank her. This is Touchard popping back online here for just a few moments during this timeout. Just briefly, we'd like to thank KUA, Ottawa Carleton Ultimate Association, for sponsoring this stream and also running this whole event. I mean, it's a fantastic event. Stephen will mention some of the organizers shortly. Also, this is, of course, being Canada. Thank you to Ultimate Canada as well for being our overarching body. And thank you to myself, IamUltimate.com, where you can continue to find a lot of these streams and things like that.
Sure.
You're welcome. We're getting better every year. I mean, we're learning from a whole bunch of other teams in terms of broadcasters like NextGen, and also, it all started way back when. But we're going to keep getting better and keep improving our stream, more cameras. But I'll turn it back over to Stephen Traynor now here as we come out of this timeout.
Well, Touchard, thank you very much. And Blue is going to be checking the disc in 20 seconds or less. At a timeout. They want to make sure that they score this. They've got 10 seconds left to check it in. Looking to get it off the line. Calypso playing a zone in the fourth side. Oh, another timeout attempted, and
It's a turn on 10, actually, it seems like.
oh, it was a turn on 10? Okay. So that was a turnover. There was nothing to throw at. There was some very, very interesting defense played by Calypso. They were able to shut down the force lane, and the Bales were covered nicely on that play. Calypso now starts on the shadows of their own end zone line. They're looking to move this disc down quickly. Oh,
Ooh,
nice defense, and that leads to a turnover. Cube picks up the disc quite quickly.
That's a
Quebec City with the throw and the score. Great cut by number 25 of Quebec City. And they're able to score quite quickly.
So that was quite interesting in terms of there was some speed on that, but not really something that she turns over that often. And Calypso here looking strong, but very sloppy in the second half compared to their first half. I mean, the first half they 8-4. They outscored Cube, and then they're 5-3 right now going in the second half.
Mm-hmm. I think that that might be a simple case of time pressure. Although that was probably a catchable disc on that bail attempt for Calypso, I think the fact that she had a defender that was right on her, and they've been playing some incredibly long points in the second half. I mean, I think the first point was at least 15 minutes long. I think, you know, over the course of a 7-game weekend, it might be starting to wear down on some of the cutters finishing their catches.
No, it's very tough, but these Calypso ladies on their own here looking really strong, dominating all the other women's teams in this division. I mean, it says a lot for Odyssey and just their program. But again, most of these players are women's and open players that have made that mixed team.
And I mean, they're not just strong in Canada. I mean, they've been competing in American tournaments with very, very strong results at the Boston Invite. They competed at the U.S. Open. They were invited to participate with some of the best teams in the entire world. So they narrowly missed representing Canada at the World Championships, losing to TFP in the finals last year. And a lot of that has to do with how strong their women are. And they're on display right now playing for Calypso. Oh, backhand huck, but it's out of play. And Calypso receiver unable to get it.
You couldn't even say that the wind was responsible there. If we look at the flag on the sideline, it's basically, it's pretty, you know, steady but very limp. It's not a strong wind at all.
5, 4, 3.
And I think in general, there's been a lot of unforced errors.
Up the line to Cub. Quebec City moving it back into the middle. Oh, wow, what a grab. Going the opposite direction. Changed and was able to catch that pass. They continue to move it up the line here. Here's a throw to the break side. And it's caught, but not in. Quebec handler passing it right in there. Oh, it's some sort of pick call.
A lot of pressure earlier on. The handler who sent that blade huck up, or that huck up that floated, was completely bowled over by a Calypso player. So there might have been an injury call, because if we go back here to the right, there was some sort of call, and she didn't move. Rightfully, the Cube player didn't move after the call was made.
In the foreground, Phoenix is preparing for their final. We've got a bit of a discussion on the field here. Observers trying to remedy the situation, get things started as soon as possible. Cub will have the disc close to the middle of the field. Looking to break that stingy Calypso D. They dump it off to the line. Forces back to the middle. Another pass. On the sideline, on the line, still not in. Looking for a nice, easy pass. And Quebec City QUB Cube has the point.
It's a nice long point, lots of turns. Both teams had shots there, but you know, it's great to see teams that do that kind of red zone play after a lot of movement without rushing it.
Well, I think the fact that they were able to stay patient and just continue to work with the dumps is crucial against Calypso, because they don't seem to be giving up a lot of easy stuff. So if you're forced to make 10 passes near the end zone line, I mean, I think it's good defense, but over time, if your offense is working hard enough, you're going to be able to punch it in. So good patience for Quebec City.
And it was a lot of good small short passes rather than risking anything around. And the dumps also were around 5-6, not waiting up for a riskier throw later on or a under pressure kind of high stall count pass. It shows a lot of character, and makes one wonder, is Cube going to be a force at Nationals?
That is a great question, actually, because they've been knocking on the doorstep for the past 3 or 4 years, and they've had some good results at No Borders. They've had some good results at Jazz Fest, at Tough, and finally this year, there's the very real question of whether or not they can upset Storm, they can upset Stella at Nationals. So it'll be exciting to see how they can do. Another team that I'm kind of excited about is EXO, which won Jazz Fest on the women's side. I mean, they've been a team that's been rapidly improving over the last couple of years out of Sherbrooke, and I think that they might really compete to see if, at least a quarterfinal bid at Nationals. Maybe there's a chance that they could break into the semi, but they'll have their hands full against some tough opponents.
It'll be incredibly exciting. What we've got on field right now, though, for our viewers, is a offside call was made on this side. So because it was an offside, and the second offside by Cube, Calypso will benefit from it and will get the disc at the middle of the field. Is that the middle? Is that the...
I think that might be I think that is relatively close to the middle of the field, based on where we're set up here. I think it's in the middle of the field. Oh, she's moving it into the middle. So it's just an errant placement.
Makes good sense. And that's going to be a travel call almost immediately. But I'm going to turn it back to you, Stephen. I'm not the play-by-play guy.
All right, you stay color, and I'll do play-by-play. So, folks, for those of you listening at home, the disc is in the middle of the field. It's being swung. Daniel 410 now has the disc. Quick fakes. Looking back to the middle, directing traffic. They continue to move it nice and patiently. QUB playing hard defense. To the zone.
There's no pressure from the zone.
There's no pressure from the zone. I think that what they're doing is they're trying to take advantage of Calypso maybe having a bit of a shorter bench and being a little tired. But Calypso's disc skills are really shining here. They are going to very patiently make 4 or 5 passes and move the disc and gain yards on the sidelines. Great hammer throw on the end zone line over the top, and it is caught. Another point for Calypso.
Now that hammer finally is what the Ulysses guys will say. They've been calling for that hammer continually for basically the entire first half.
Yes.
But coming back to that zone, on that crash, there was no sideline call. There was basically nothing we were hearing to indicate that there should be any sort of pressure put on that.
Right.
And that basically gave them an easy movement. But let's note, it was only an easy quarter field movement considering where they started from.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest problem with that zone, as you said, was there's no call for direct pressure on any of the throwers, like a sideline trap or anything like that. And with the skill level, I mean, it may work against sort of lesser experienced teams to just play the simple 3-3-1. But if you're going to try and get Calypso to force them into errors, you have to find some way to kind of cut off the field and give them a little bit of pressure in terms of marking and trapping on the sideline.
Now, also to note is when they came down, when Cube came down after that second offside, the disc they stayed in a zone. Right? They didn't change their strategy, and it was basically starting with zone at midfield, which meant that as soon as you break out of that zone, you're pretty much in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it might have necessitated that they change their strategy or try to force it to move further back the field such that they would have had time to adjust after that breakthrough.
So given the fact that they went offside, you would have rather seen them call the melt and just play man-to-man when it's that close to the middle of the field.
It might have worked, but as you said, against teams that aren't as skilled, it definitely would have made a difference. And perhaps they're considering this now as something to do practice with, or get set for nationals and play against a high-level team.
So Calypso playing a bit of a junk zone D here. You've got some man-to-man on some of the handlers, and you've got zone coverage in the back. They've melted now. There's a jump ball for it, and it is caught, but it's not in. And it's in. So there's a little bit of confusion as to whether or not it's in. So Linda Kudo there to make a call that it was caught and that it was in.
Now, we did hear the horn go earlier. Stephen, does the cap apply? Is that a soft or a hard cap?
I think that may have been the soft cap. What have we got for time right now?
You know what? Your guess is as good as mine, but the time right now is 14:01.
14:01.
So 2:01 p.m.
Yep.
Score at 14:09. Horn went during that, so if it was hard, we'd be done.
Yeah, the next game is at 2:15. So I think that might have been the hard cap. Perhaps I'm not sure. After being the tournament director for the past 4 years, I'm not directing, so I'm not sure what the cap rules are. Hopefully, just on the basis of our coverage and experience in the past of working with Rogers and other TV groups, we can have one hard cap, because it's when you're dealing with soft and hard cap and you're trying to provide commentary and coverage, it can be a little bit confusing.
Regardless of that, let's just briefly discuss the zone that came up there. So as you said, they were playing a little bit of a junk D, and they played that before, and what they've allowed is that upfield cut, such that they can try to put that extra coverage deep. And by having that extra coverage deep, they're hoping for that huck, but there was a little bit of a misread there, and maybe a little bit of gust of wind that the Calypso ladies did not get under the disc, and instead you had 2 cube players. There were definitely 4 Calypso ladies around, just no pressure.
Quebec City has gone back to playing hard man-to-man. And I stress the phrase hard. They've played very, very hard. Break throw, down the sideline, continuation throws being made by Calypso. It's cut off. They put it back into the middle very smartly. Looking to continue to move the disc. Great defense by Cub, which forces a big throw into the end zone, and it's D'd by Quebec City. Boy, some tough marks on those offensive players looking for the easy dump. It hasn't been easy, and we've seen some stall 8 and some stall 9 throws.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure coming on, and as you said, their person-on-person coverage is definitely something to look forward to, especially when they're playing games like high-pressure games at CUC. Hopefully they can turn it up there. There appears to be a call on the field at this time, though, and the disc, no call.
No
All right,
call.
it's waved off. The discussion does continue, so we'll see where it actually ends up.
Okay. Oh, break attempt. Very hard angle to catch, and it's dropped or thrown away. And now Calypso will set up about 20 yards away from the end zone. Quick movement up the line. Looking offline, good throw, back to the middle, continuation break. Nothing easy coming for Calypso. Great dump catch, tightly contested. Calypso looking into the end zone. Oh, tipped by the Quebec City player, but then caught by Montreal.
That's just amazing skills there and concentration. I believe she was at Worlds, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And Stephen, if you want to do a quick game wrap-up, because that's our game, 15-9.
15-9. Calypso played a very strong game, especially on offense. I was extremely impressed with their ability to add some players to their the girls that formed the mixed team Odyssey. They were able to add some players like Kate Weary and Daniel Fortan, and they were able to play well as a team. So in the final, we saw a lot of breakthroughs. We saw a lot of good disc movement and unselfishness by this team. On the Quebec City side, we saw an excellent game defensively that went shot for shot on the defensive side. What we did see in part of the first half and at the start of the second half was some kind of unforced turnovers on catches and throws. And I think that moving into nationals, QUB or QUB or Quebec City will be much, much stronger than they have been in the past, because we're just seeing more athleticism from them. We're seeing better throws. And I'm kind of excited to see what they can do after, playing a team like Calypso and getting this experience of playing in their first No Borders final.
Well, okay, so pretty exciting final. Earlier you spoke about going up against some pretty powerhouse teams. Now, Allison Fisher has just told us that neither Storm or EXO are going to nationals this year.
Okay. So when we're looking at Lotus will be going. We'll be looking at there'll be an Ottawa team from Stella, which should be quite strong. And I think that because it's in Victoria, we might have some strong teams from Vancouver. I don't know what the official list is at this point, but you can bet that there'll be some sort of competition coming from the Vancouver community, and maybe Wild Rose from Alberta will be sending a team as well. So, and we would probably expect Fusion from Winnipeg to come. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Quebec could do. This could be a year where they might be able to squeak into the semis or finals, especially with some of those stronger Quebec teams not in the picture.
Yeah, and we know Wild Rose is currently watching and listening, so we, if you are going or aren't, please be sure to tell us, and we'll discuss that during the open finals that's coming up right now. Excellent. As well. So Calypso, really strong, and now we're about to see the men from that half of the team participate. I'm just gonna, just discussing mixed right now. Mixed first time here, and we'll also discuss later why these have been actually combined from a logistics point of view. These tournaments,
sure.
But it really doesn't seem like there's anyone who's able to touch Odyssey right now. It's and we've said yes, it's a lock and things like that, and then someone like TFP has coming up. A team that necessarily might in some ways have gotten lucky.
Right.
But also had very dominant guys
right.
Playing on their team. Now, for my money, the team that we sent to Worlds from Canada, who dominated, was made up of the best players. And you're not going to have, and you're basically splitting that team up now. And then you have some very dominant ladies and pretty dominant men. Who can challenge Odyssey at nationals?
Well, we'd have to look at the field of teams that are competing. Clearly, I will speak to when you said about perhaps TFP got lucky at nationals. That was a final at CUC 2011. You had the thunder and lightning delay. You had all kinds of wind and rain issues. So both of those teams were extremely good at Ultimate, and I wouldn't take away anything from Odyssey, because they've clearly shown that they're good at both the national level, at the UPA level, or the USA Ultimate level. So they would have been great representatives of the country as well. But TFP, from seeing what they did at Worlds and with some extra players added, and also seeing how they did at Nationals, they're very good at Ultimate. So if they decide that they're going to be participating, they're going to give Odyssey a very strong run. There's also the #1 seed in this tournament, Unite, which is a combination of, I believe, RIP and No Clue players from previous national bids. And they're extremely strong team. They actually beat Odyssey at the Quebec regionals last weekend. Final score was 8-6, so I don't know if there was some weather that was a factor or if there was time. But clearly that's a team that could challenge. And as much as I want to make it seem as if it's going to be extremely close nationals, sometimes you have a division where there are 1 or 2 or 3 that are strong teams and much, much stronger than anybody else. So maybe that will be the case. Maybe Odyssey will roll till they get to the semis. But we'll see. I don't see any challenges coming out of the East in terms of Atlantic Canada at this point. In the West, I don't really see any strong teams from the Prairie region at this point. So it's either Vancouver or some Quebec challengers for Odyssey.
Yeah, I think that's completely true. It's I can see that Quebec again continues their strong program, and both those major cities contributing heavily, and Sherbrooke also coming up now is strong. I played against mixed teams from there, and I played against open teams I haven't played against any women's teams from Sherbrooke or women's teams in general. Actually, that's not true. In Waterloo, PPF does come to our mixed tournaments and play as PPF.
Okay.
But if you look at the Ontario program and how fractured it is, and it's a recurring theme for me.
Right.
And especially in everything we chat about on IM Ultimate, is why are we so fractured here for mixed?
In terms of what?
And also weak at the same time. We haven't had, in recent memory, a top 4 mixed team at nationals, have we?
Well, it hasn't come out of Ottawa in quite some time. We had a top 2 finish in 2007, and we haven't had a top 8 finish since then. And there's been a lot of debate about what we can do to improve on that. I've always thought that Toronto mixes, at least been contenders in the quarterfinals. But in terms of, you might have to elaborate a little bit further in terms of the fracturing. One of the things I would kind of shed light on, and I think you would agree on this, is I think that the 4-on-4 culture in Quebec City has actually led to some stronger showings from some of the women's and opens and mixed teams that are coming out of Quebec. For example, the Sherbrooke ladies EXO, who won Jazz Fest this year for the first time ever. I mean, they're heavily invested in the 4-on-4 leagues and the 4-on-4 tournaments, the circuit that goes on in the wintertime. And I think that that's probably something that and that's probably something that has led to them having success. If they're playing that level of ultimate throughout the year, they're going to be a little bit better. And on the Ontario side, I think that there's always been a lot of changes in terms of who is running teams in different cities from year to year. We welcome the viewers, if you're sending in messages to Tushar, to send your opinions on these things. But I think the fact that there hasn't been a consistent leadership structure in some of the major cities for mixed programs, that there's constant turnover, I think that kind of hurts the consistency and the performance of Ontario teams.
I agree. It's very disappointing personally, because we can see some great teams coming out of that area. But as we can see, we don't have the number, I guess, 3 or 4 seed out of Toronto. We don't have what are we even calling that? It's not Unity. I keep saying Unity. It's that
Unite?
No, we have Unite.
Oh, Union?
Union, exactly. Sorry, a little bit of a tiring weekend. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have Union here, and it really seems like for development that you should be going out to as many tournaments as possible.
Right.
And we don't have that focus. We used to have Tundra and all those sort of teams out of Toronto that were really working and developing a program. But once you finish Zen in Toronto, as part of the system or that culture, you can go into multiple directions, and you don't really have that focus. You also have Prodigy very close to the GTA, and some players have started moving from there to, like, say, Mud or other locations like that.
Right.
But you still don't necessarily have that focus, and as we know, Prodigy has terrible consistency.
Right.
And that
in terms of performance.
In terms of performance, and they've had a leadership change, and they still have terrible consistency.
Right.
So it just seems to be part of their culture. Whereas if you had that superstar team, kind of like what BFC did in 2007, where you picked up the open players and women's players and then put in a really strong team, we could possibly out of Toronto get a really strong mixed team.
Right.
But there just doesn't seem to be that unity.
Yeah. What makes our discussion interesting is that I think we may have differing opinions on good. I mean, if you want to try and win a nationals bid or a world's bid in one given year, I like the idea of taking the talent from open and mixed and whatever, and making a strong team in a particular division that has a chance to rival anything coming out of Vancouver or Quebec. But I think that, and I would agree with you that it's very good whenever in the city you have a competitive program that has a centralized leadership structure for both open and mixed and co-ed. So you're not having these teams that are changing names every year and captains that are changing. You actually have some real leadership that's kind of looking, as a player, you always want to win now. As a leader leading an organization, you want to think about the future, and you need that in order to do well. I think that one of the things that we might want to do for the juniors program, a lot of people think that we should combine teams to have a very strong Ontario team, and I don't agree with that. My preference would be to have something where, all of the different clubs in the GTA, there should be more than one junior team that's coming out of the GTA or Kitchener-Waterloo. I think we should try and grow the sport as much as possible, have as many players playing as possible. We can streamline them for Worlds bids later on.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Okay, let's switch our focus now here to the Open Finals, where we have ULSC #1 seed in black, and then Phoenix from, well, I'm guessing you guys are from Ottawa.
From Ottawa, that's right.
And ULSC, just very quickly, is the male half of Odyssey, and we just saw Calypso win the women's final. And